What is going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson, yes, live on a Monday night, part of the NGB and TV family, community, and network. You know what time it is. Sports Arena's in the house. So much to talk about tonight. I'm just thankful that I got the crew with me here. Of course, first up, she is joining us. I mean, this woman is all over the state of Texas. If you don't know the name, aka Megan Price, and living under her, but she is with us here in the building this evening. Of course, we got my man, the left coast, the west coast, Forks Up, Mr. Mike Carasnudo, still finishing his dinner. And of course, we got our special guest with us here this evening. I told y'all earlier, Dr. Jarrell Heslip is in the house, sporting his brand new look with that Carolina Panthers in the background. So good evening to everybody. What is going on, y'all? How we doing tonight?
Doing really well, really well. You know, if you're a 1 seed, you're living life.
Don't everybody jump at once. I mean,
Stanford should have been the other number 1 seed.
No, absolutely not. No. Your argument is with USC, not Texas.
No, the Pac-12 teams deserve number 1 seeds. It was the best conference this year, top to bottom. South Carolina.
They should have won their conference championship. They shouldn't have lost to Arizona with 7 players. Okay. That's why they're not a 1 seed.
It's one game.
30-4. We're 30-4.
That's fine.
All right, both of you to your corners. We will get to that later on this evening. Mike, Megan, calm down. We got a guest in the house. Y'all know how to behave when there's company. Come on now. But anyhow, shout out to Dr. Jarrell Heslip for joining us here tonight. What's good, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, doing good, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. Megan, Mike, what's good?
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, so much to talk about. Of course. So let's jump right into it, y'all, because like I said earlier today, I guess the final shoe has dropped because our man, Justin Fields, is now officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. So definitely want to get everybody's thoughts on this. And, Queen of Hoop, I'm going to start with you on this one. When you saw the news come down, Megan, what was your thought on Justin Fields finally no longer being in Chicago?
Well, it was definitely hitting a point in free agency where it was getting concerning about what was going to happen for Justin. We do see now that Chicago is absolutely going to quote Jerry here, all in on Caleb, right? I don't know that I would have gone that same direction, but I mean, Chicago's going to do what they do. Not too surprised. Justin is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's one of those guys that's not going to necessarily win you a ton of games, but he's not going to lose games because he has football IQ. Getting him in the position where he has potential to learn from somebody. Now, no matter what you think about Russell Westbrook or not, he has had success. He's definitely not like
Russell Wilson.
That's what I said.
Russell Wilson.
That's what I said. Russell Wilson.
You said Westbrook.
Oh, my bad. I'm
you said Westbrook.
Oh, my bad. Wilson. We talking football. With Wilson, no matter what you think about him, he's had success. Now, he's definitely not in any GOAT conversation. He's not going to be involved in any MVP conversations anymore. That part of his career is over. But you got him for basically free over there in Pittsburgh. And then a future 6th round pick for Justin Fields. Like what Pittsburgh has done and what Mike Tomlin has done, like you have to shout that out for basically nothing, for basically free. You got these 2 quarterbacks that are you're going to bring Russell over and he's going to teach Justin what he needs to learn. And we'll see if he actually has the potential to learn and grow and be a great quarterback. I don't know that Caleb has that. So I'm not surprised by Chicago. There were 4 other teams that were interested and Justin didn't want to go there. So I'm glad that they supposedly did right by him.
No, I'm with you on that. And I mean, I'm with you on that. And Jarrell, I'll ask you, what do you think? I mean, look, Mike Tomlin already said that. I mean, he alluded to it's going to be a competition. I mean, even if Kenny Pickett was still there, it was competition. You sign Russell Wilson, like Megan said. I mean, it's crazy. Eric and I were talking about this last week, guys, too. It's crazy when you can call, $1.2 million cheap or chump change. But in the NFL world, I mean, that's nothing for a quarterback. So in your eyes, Jarrell, it is going to be a competition. And even if, Justin Fields doesn't win it or if Russell Wilson doesn't win it, but who do you think would have an advantage there between those two? I mean, who do you think has the advantage in, getting that starting position? Because like Megan said,
I think
go ahead.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers has the advantage. They won in this free agency trade. You got a solid, reliable starter out of Russell Wilson. And if you look at their numbers in the last 2 years, they're identical. Being that Russell Wilson was in a bad situation, horrible relationship with the coach. He really didn't want him there. He's going to train. He's going to prep. He's going to be ready. I think this is a better situation for Russell Wilson. I think he is, which Mike Tomlin already called and said, "Hey, look, Russ, you are our starter." Now, the other thing is you have a hot sophomore year player looking over your shoulder. Can Russell perform with that look over his shoulder? Because as soon as he mess up, the fans are going to be calling for Fields all day. And this plays out for Fields as well, because we see the talent in him. We see his ceiling, or not his ceiling. We see how good he can be. But this gives him time to develop things where he lacked in Chicago. He can see that under the tutelage of Russell Wilson. He can do nothing but get better. And he's their franchise player for the future. This is a total win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They made a lot of great trades. I think they are my winner in free agency this year. They came out and, like you said, they got Russell Wilson for an 87 pacer, man. It's great in Pittsburgh. So all the fans should be ecstatic. If Russell doesn't do good, you're all right. Yeah, man. If Russell doesn't do good, you're all right. You got Fields waiting, prepping, training, and learning and seeing the game from a different set of eyes now. So it's all good in Pittsburgh, in my opinion. Shout out to my homeboy Aaron Curry too. He's a coach out there.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean, look, it is. I mean, their offensive line. I know we're going to get to the Jets later, but their offensive line is probably one of the more struggling offensive lines that Pittsburgh has had. And to say that, I mean, believe me, people that know, obviously, they are always built in the trenches, no matter who's there. And granted, 3 coaches in 40 years basically doesn't. They keep that tradition going, but. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, like $1.2 million, I think Justin Fields can win the job because Pittsburgh's offensive line is to me, I mean, that's the key. And like you said, winning in free agency. And it also, and Megan, you know this well, and of course, one of my cousins is a diehard Steelers fan. It makes me say that the Steelers look like freaking stinking geniuses because, like Jarrell just said, you get Russell Wilson, for the 87 pacer. That's hilarious. Yeah, $1.2 million. But then you trade for Justin Fields, as people were, Pittsburgh fans were calling for anyway. And it does take the pressure off Justin Fields because Chicago's offensive line was absolute garbage. I mean, to NFL standards, absolute terrible. And I mean, I said this last week to Eric, guys, like we saw the second half of last season that he got a little bit of time. I mean, he's accurate and bombing the ball to Cole Kmet. I mean, that quarterback tight end connection was phenomenal last year. I mean, it got better as the year went on this year, but and the Bears stayed in some games this year, but that the offense, like you need some semblance of a line. So that's what, I mean, that's how I see it. Megan, let me ask you this though. I mean, does it almost, I mean, again, the money aside and everything aside, does it almost seem like overkill for Pittsburgh though?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm not impressed with Pickett at all at the QB position. So for me, it was like, since Ben was regressing, 3 seasons ago, when did he retire? He had been regressing for a while, y'all. So I think that this has been on their mind for a minute of what are we going to do? And this is a situation that they can only benefit from. It doesn't matter which way it goes. They can only benefit from it. So I think they absolutely came out on top. There are a couple other free agent teams that I felt like did just as well. I mean, and I hate to throw Philly in there, but they absolutely did really well. So I mean, you just have to admit it.
Throw Philly in there because Eric's back on screen.
No, but it's true. Like if we're talking about free agencies, they have done really well. And I don't know if that's just coming from the abyss of what the Cowboys have not done, So No, Pittsburgh is all they can do is win from this.
So thank you for that, Megan. I appreciate it. I love
I
how
have a
you always
question.
love to include me in the
I mean,
conversation.
it was just steady news was coming, and I was just like, holy crap. All right, Philly's fixing everything.
But and forgive me if we talked about this and I missed it, but Jarrell, when you and I were having this conversation earlier, you said to me that Justin Fields kind of had his teams lined up as to if he wasn't going to stay in Chicago, where he wanted to go, where he wanted to land. I'm not sure if you guys talked about that, and if you did, I apologize, but I just thought that was actually interesting that a young man at that age in that position was still very business minded to be like, okay, clearly you're going to move on from me. And if that's the case, then this is where I'm going to go. Basically picking his spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that was the right decision for him because right, because there was 4 other teams that were interested in him, and he wasn't just jumping at whatever, like, oh, hey, I'm just going to take a job because it's looking like I might not have one. Like, that was good for him to go ahead and decide, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. You're already on the border of you're not a great quarterback, but you are a good quarterback. It's not a knock to him. He's good. He's not great, but if you really do have the potential to take the next step in your career, this is it. This is that decision that you have to make. And there's a reason that we always hear about football players or NFL players wanting to retire as a Steeler. There's a reason why, because they treat their players well.
Yeah. All right. So I want to move on from this. I want to stay kind of on the offensive side. Go ahead, Drew.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's the thing. I thought it was very smart. So you're going to pick where you're going to succeed, because he definitely turned down, like Megan said, 4 other teams that were very interested. Regardless if he's not where we want him to be right now, Justin Fields is a starter in the NFL. And I can definitely, like you said, when you were Steelers, I'm looking for the word. They have players that stay there for the long haul and succeed. But my other question was, what do they see in Williams to make that push? Because I don't see it. I'm really wondering what they are seeing. And mind you, he didn't have a great offensive line at USC. He did a lot of things, but there's a lot of tangibles that I feel like he's lacking in. So that's a lot to throw a lot of eggs in that one basket and to throw out a young talent as Justin Fields. But that's all I was going to say, brother.
No, yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what Chicago does. And here's the funny thing. We still don't know if Chicago is going to pick Caleb Williams first overall. I mean, we can all assume that, but I mean,
you think Drake goes ahead of him?
I honestly,
that's the only other person I could see going ahead of him. And I don't think that happens.
Listen, I agree with you, but we have seen night one, first pick in the draft, or even within the top 10, players who you didn't expect to get drafted. Like the year that Baker Mayfield got drafted, Mike and I were sitting there and we're like, okay, Saquon's going to Cleveland. And all of a sudden the number 1 draft pick comes up and it's Baker Mayfield. And I'm like, wait, what?
Saquon became a giant.
And Saquon becomes a giant because the Giants were like, well, yeah, you will take him if you don't want it. I mean, it was just, it was one of those things where we can all sit here and say right now, arguably just a little over a month away from the draft, that yes, Caleb Williams will be the first draft pick of the 2024 NFL draft in Detroit, going to the Chicago Bears. But we don't know that to be the actual case until his name is called. They could blow all of our minds up and say, well, we're going in this direction because they also have the 9th pick in the first round. So they have 2 in the top 10. Am I, so it's like, it's much like Cleveland had the 1st and the 4th that year that they drafted Baker Mayfield and then Denzel Ward. So it still remains to be seen, but I do want to keep it moving Really quick, huge shout out, to the NGB and TV family. Much love to all of them for giving us a platform, and to Mike and to Megan and everybody here on the show tonight. Just wanted to say that to all y'all. Let's keep moving though, because I want to talk about, two wide receivers who I think may not be where they currently are. And that is Justin Jefferson, excuse me.
Same first name. It's okay. It's okay.
Stephon Diggs, because listen, we know that Sam Darnold has now been picked up by the Minnesota Vikings. So Justin Jefferson, being the top guy that he is he going to stay in Minnesota? And conversely, we've seen over the past season that Stephon Diggs has had issues with the Buffalo Bills and how they're running that offense. And Diggs is never one to just silence his voice. He going to say what he want to say. So I think that begs to ask that question. So, Megan, I'll come to you first. Do you think one or both of these gentlemen will be in the same uniform that they're currently in when we start up in September?
So Justin Jefferson, just the vibes that I get from what's going on in Minnesota and everything that they've said and their attitude when they're asked about that, like go watch their reps talk about Justin Jefferson. They're not letting go of him. And I have this feeling his career is going to die in Minnesota. Like this is it. Communication is going to break down. There's going to be problems. He might sit. He may not come to camp. Like it's problems. I feel like it's huge problems in Minnesota right now as far as Jefferson goes. With Buffalo, who was fired in the middle of the season? Their defensive coordinator or their offensive coordinator?
Ken Dorsey, their offensive coordinator.
The OC.
Offensive coordinator. Okay, so and they have did they stick with the guy that they had come in the middle of the season?
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady.
I'm pretty sure he's still there.
As far as I can recall, he's still there.
I think that Buffalo probably tries to figure it out with him. But like you said, he's somebody that's very verbal. We will know if it's not right. We will definitely know if it's not right. So I don't know if I can necessarily say on Stephon just yet, but I really feel like we'll know eventually. He'll speak up on it. But Justin, no, I have bad feelings about it. His career's about to die in Minnesota. It's over.
So they just gonna force his hand and say, "That's it. You're in Minnesota till the end."
Yes, that's how I feel.
Well, I mean, look, if they franchise him next year, it's going to cost a ton of money. But I mean, Eric, all kidding aside, with Kirk Cousins gone. Because Justin Jefferson up and down, everybody's saying stuff. And people say, what are you going to say? But we're just saying Stephon Diggs. And again, not that even when he wanted to get out of Minnesota, he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't going after, quarterback, other players, other receivers. And I don't think that's Justin. He was obviously in Kirk Cousins' camp. And, the easy part is it depends who they bring in a quarterback, who becomes their starting quarterback, because he doesn't, they can sit down and try and negotiate with them, but you got no quarterback. And that's the age old question, right? Like, is he going to sit there and negotiate and, take too much money or take, an overabundance in a way to where he has to, restructure, they have to keep going to him. But look, and since Stephon Diggs came from Minnesota, Eric, just think if this would have happened when Diggs was there, if, he had a quarterback, like the Cousins or, anything like anyone like that. And they sit there and they don't re-sign him, and you got to either stick with, with the young rookie quarterback or whatever. Diggs would have been like, I'm out of here. So I think it makes it very interesting with the negotiations. And granted, because they don't have to worry about the 5th-year option until after next year, this upcoming season. So that's one of the things where, you want to get Justin Jefferson extended. If you're a quarterback and you're, a good one, they're thinking, okay, like we have a running game. Look, we brought Aaron Jones over and he can still tote the rock and he's a beast. So it's not that the weapons aren't there, but pulling the trigger, obviously, like we said, it's the difference between a rookie and a veteran doing it, and someone that's had the numbers, it's had maybe not obviously the playoff success, but the success and the camaraderie that he's had with Justin Jefferson with that Kirk Cousins has had. That's what makes it interesting. So, I mean, look, if they get a younger quarterback, we're going to start hearing rumblings. I'll go out there, it's not a crazy hot take, but I'll go out on the limb, Eric, and say that we're going to start hearing rumblings before the trade deadline that Justin Jefferson wants to be traded.
So, okay, that brings up my question, and I'm going to ask Jarrell this. Jarrell, when draft night comes around, do you think Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs gets traded on draft night?
I got you, and I'm sorry if my internet is delaying, guys. I'm trying to work it right now, but I got 2 predictions. Hold on, Eric. JJ, what's up, man? Hey, look, hold tight. I know I got you. Well, you're too valuable. We're going to keep you. We're going to get somebody there for you. Okay, just hold tight, brother. All right, I got you. Justin, man. So it's the GM's job and the owner's job to make Justin Jefferson comfortable as possible. You got rid of somebody that can get him the ball downfield, but this is upper management's job. Just make him feel comfortable. You're going to build a team around him. He's too valuable to let go. So for the next couple years, I think he's going to be in Minnesota. Stephon Diggs, on the other hand, he's been rumbling and brewing for a couple years now, and like you said, making his voice very well known. And I'm not sure what I heard this statement from that the Cowboys were looking to free up some money to possibly bring him in. If that's the case, I love that. No.
I am.
We got both of the Diggs. Hey, listen, I love it.
I am 2-0 right now. The Dallas Cowboys did not get Derrick Henry, and they did not get Saquon Barkley. Do you know how my heart would be broken if who got Diggs goes and joins his brother with the star on his helmet? Do you understand? That is painful for me. Listen, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley were painful because I just don't need running backs with the way the Philadelphia Eagles defense has been, which this year we're truly going to find out if them Georgia dogs can step up with the retirement of Fletcher Cox. But what I'm saying to you is no, I don't need Stephon Diggs with his brother.
We do. Yes, we do.
No.
Pull the trade off, Jarrell. You can do it. I got
awesome.
faith in you.
But his brother's a free agent this season as well.
Let him go to Carolina.
We will take him.
Nobody.
Please, yes. Trust me. He will be a 1,500-yard receiver by week 9.
Yeah.
All right. Last order of business in the NFL before we transition over to March Madness, and it is Aaron Donald has retired, and every quarterback in the NFL has probably sent him roses, an edible arrangement, and a ton of money to be like, thank you for saying goodbye. So let me go to our guest here, Dr. Jarrell Heslip. Talk to me just about your thoughts on Aaron Donald hanging it up.
I'm gonna tell my kids that was the first time that the U.S. government really showed that aliens are alive, because he's not human, man. The things he's done in front of our eyes as far as IQ, physical strength, and his lack of size, his ability to penetrate under triple coverage. He's amazing, man. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like you said, everyone took a deep breath and said, "Oh my God. Thank you. We applaud you, but thank you." He's great, man. What more can you not say about Aaron Donald, man? And then his philanthropy on side of that, as far as what he does in Pennsylvania. He's just a great guy as far as being a fan. I love him, man.
Can you look at this? I mean, just for argument's sake, take a look at this 2029 potential Hall of Fame class. Aaron Donald, Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox. Like, just those three alone. I mean, that's just wild to think about it. That those three guys in 5 years will be Hall of Famers. each one of them.
Well, Eric, defense always gets a little screwed. So I'm not saying, and look, it's not because he was Phillies. Fletcher Cox isn't, because I'm with you, but I think I definitely can see if Donald goes in and Kelsey, but another, it's like two, and again, it shouldn't matter. And you and I have talked about this, but if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. But I could see, I mean, it would be, insane. And then, I don't know if I could watch that enshrinement with you because.
Oh, I'm going to be there. You ain't got to worry about that one. Whenever Jason Kelsey gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, you best believe I'll be at Canton.
I could be there for that. I could be there for that.
Mike, here's the thing. Because we also just found out that your boy, LVE.
I think that's a very good point, Mike.
Your boy LVE retired. So who's to say he won't be on that ballot as well?
Too short of a career. Even though
I'm sorry. I love LVE.
It proved,
and it's not a knock to him, but it wasn't a long career.
Even though this year proved, because once he went down again with the neck, and they didn't really, they tried to, but again, didn't add anybody in the middle. Like, that was the biggest difference between last year and this year. That's why, again, in the playoffs last year, I'm just a lot more confident about at least stifling teams' runs, because he did that. It's almost like, and I'm not saying he is, Eric, because I was obviously, we were younger, but Sterling Sharp. When Shannon Sharp got inducted, Sterling Sharp had his career-ending injury, but Shannon Sharp made a hell of a point. You look at a 7-year period, and for an offensive player, obviously a little bit different, but you look at that 7-year period, Sterling Sharp was the top of every single receiving damn list. And to me, that's just crazy, because I don't care. It wasn't 1 year or 2 years. It was 7 years. So right. To me, that's enough there. For Leighton Vander Esch, the thing that's going to hurt, his rookie season, his second season, obviously, he did have decent numbers when, wonderful Mike Nolan was there, who, almost ruined his career, ruined a lot of defensive careers. But, I'm just saying, I'm not bitter or anything. But look, would he be in obviously not like, 2029, but would he be in the conversation? I know I'm definitely pulling a me mid-answer here, Eric, because I think because of what he meant to the defense and what he did. It's almost kind of like, literally it echoes, even though he did play longer, is obviously your boy Sean Lee. Like, do I think Sean Lee's a Hall of Fame linebacker for when he was on the field and what he did and how he grew? Yes, but the problem is when you hit those injuries, and that it's, again, if it goes to the Veterans Committee, maybe they, it'd be a long time out, a while out, obviously, but that's the problem, because I think if Vander Esch, has played this year and even, had 1 or 2 more years, and say he decided to call it quits when he's, 31, 32, I think I'm 100% with you. I think it would be a conversation that we're having, but unfortunately, and that's how the writers do it. And if I take, obviously, my Cowboys fandom homer aside, like, yeah, as a homer, I'd be like, I can, when you look at who's in the Hall of Fame, and like, Dion and a lot of those guys have said, it's not the Hall of Great, very good, it's the Hall of Fame. So That's where I think, unfortunately, because I think he was headed there. I'm with you.
That's fine. Megan, I'm going to give you the final word on Aaron Donald retiring, and then we are going to transition over to March Madness.
Okay, I just got to run through some of his numbers real quick. For me, that's what stood out the most. Obviously, he's a Super Bowl champion, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 17, 18, and 20. So in recent years, he was still incredibly relevant. He was an All-Defensive Rookie in 14, 8-time All-Pro First Team, 10-time Pro Bowl, a barrage of awards throughout his college and NFL career. Sliding down to his total tackles, 543, 111 sacks, 24 forced fumbles, 7 fumble recoveries, and 21 pass deflections. Those numbers are insane. Right. The rest, every quarterback in the league is breathing a sigh of relief right now. But what a career, man.
And Eric, those 3 defensive players of the year, you know who he tied? J.J. Watt, and of course, mine and yours, even though he's not a Cowboy or Eagle, but mine and yours best, Lawrence Taylor. Those are the only 3 to ever get 3 defensive players of the year.
Enough said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to transition over to, as they say, the most wonderful time of the year. It is March Madness. Our special guest, Dr. Jarrell Hessup's in the building with us. I got the Queen of Hoop, Megan Price, here with us, and my man, Mike Carrot-Tenuto. More with the Sports Arena on NGBN TV and all of our socials. We'll be back in just a moment.
What's up? My name is Chris Rubio, and I'm the host of The Rubio Method on the NGBN TV network.
Focus up. Long snapping and life are very, very similar.
We have a great show that's going to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, entertain you. I say most importantly because that's what I really want to do. But we're just kind of going on this journey together, and I'm going to make sure as we go on this journey together, you're going to have a good time while doing it. So check out The Rubio Method on NGBN TV.
All right, and welcome back to the Sports Arena Live on a Monday night. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside the Queen of Hoop, Miss Megan Price, and ASU. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry, Mike Carrot-Tenuto. So let's get into it. It is the most wonderful time of the year because it is March Madness. As you see, the men's and women's brackets are up, teams are in, and Megan is just flying high right now because Texas got a #1 seed. So she said she was going to be a little ornery tonight. I have to admit, I was expecting more, but I'll take what I got.
Well, I mean, we were talking football, so I kept it polite. As Cowboys fans right now, we're kind of like got our tails tucked between our legs, seeing what's going to happen. So we really don't have a whole lot of room to talk mess when it comes to football. So, I got to take what I can get, and that's a #1 seed, y'all. Like I told Mike earlier, I feel like your beef isn't with Texas. Your beef is with USC, because when you look at an odd man out of the 4 teams that made the 1 seeds on the women's side of things, USC is the one that's a little questionable, not Texas. So, and if you really want to beef it out, Stanford has put us out the tournament the last 3-4 years in a row. We are in the same region, so it's going to go through Stanford and Texas again, most likely. But Stanford was definitely starting to look a little human in the last couple of weeks of the regular season, and then they looked human in that conference championship as well. This was a game where Juju did not go off. It was her supporting cast, and that has been something that we've been critical of all season long, was that Juju is amazing, right? Can't take anything away.
Hold on, we ain't at the women yet. I'm sorry, we can go to the women. I was talking about the men, but let's go to the women. Go ahead.
Wait, hold on, but the Texas guys, they're a 7 seed. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I watched 3 games, and they lost all 3 games of those. So I've been watching the women all season long. That's what I've been watching, and they lost to Texas Tech, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I gave up after that on the men for Texas, anyway.
Okay, all right.
It's women over here. WBB.
I get it. Listen, as someone who was shamelessly just on the call with AU basketball today and got to talk to Alicia Gray and Natasha Cloud and Megan Perry and all them. So, listen. Oh, and by the way, shameless plug again, #2 tonight. Mike, I told Tosh, I said, look, Kalia moved to Phoenix, so I'm repping the orange and purple. She said, we don't care how you got here. We just thankful that you're here. I said, see, that's what I'm talking about. So
there you go. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so then let's talk about the women's basketball then, Megan, with how things are. Mike, when you look at this, being a Pac-12 guy that you are, and seeing how things unfolded, what were your thoughts when you saw how the brackets came out?
Not too surprising. Everybody's whining about where, Iowa is, how LSU's there. It's supposed to be challenging and tough. I don't think the committee, as much as they screw up things, people, whether you feel your team was slighted, and I know obviously, Eric, you can speak to this, Megan can speak to this. Anybody that didn't make it, that gets slighted, you're like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, what else would we have to do? But look, Arizona beating Stanford. Cameron Brink didn't play
with 7 players.
That's fine, but Cameron Brink was still not playing, and that those 22 points a game make a huge difference. All I got to say is, Stanford was 28-6, 28-5. Sorry, 28-5 this year. So I know.
What was Texas? What was Texas?
That's fine. Look, either way, the Pac-12 as the conference, every other conference does this, and you're laughing. And I say it a million times when the SEC, this or that, in football or in baseball, when you're looking at bids and stuff like that, and some team from the SEC or the Big 12 gets, it's like, are you kidding me? Like, they played absolutely nobody. But I will say this, like, Stanford being a number 2, I'm not going to be upset. I just think if you go top to bottom, like I said off the top of the show, Eric, in the conference, there was no better conference. I mean, half the conference was ranked in the top 25 all year. I mean, Utah, Alyssa Peely had kind of an up and down year, and it's not like they solved her. I know she got a little bit banged up, but Utah's a team that can go to the Final Four. UCLA's a 2 seed, and it's like, okay, the more they came on, USC, look, Juju Watkins, but it is the supporting cast. I mean, at times, Megan, but they kind of carried Juju in the beginning of the season. Again, she's very talented. I know.
Well, and they did in the championship game as well. So it was kind of an answer to that criticism.
But Juju will dish the ball. That's the thing. Like I told you guys when I saw her live, like when SC came to Tempe, I was excited. I was like, okay, I want to, seeing it on TV again. You appreciate it, you pay attention, you see it. But Eric, seeing her live, like that's why Megan and I were talking about her and Hidalgo would be one and done. The girl from Notre Dame, and we can get to them later.
For sure.
But they would be one and dones. I mean, it's insane to me because it's like, and Juju, who I've seen more of, it's her feel for the game. Like I told you, like, I mean, she has no problem dishing it to teammates. They believe me, they're able to score. They do have some height down low. I mean, 6'5", 6'6" down low. So they do have some height and athleticism down low, but they move the ball. It doesn't stop. So, I mean, she got Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. She's up for Freshman of the Year. I mean, there are pretty talented freshmen. I do get it, but literally, is like Megan and I were talking off the air. It's between her and Hidalgo to get National Freshman of the Year because that's that.
Well, our freshman won Big 12 Player of the Year, first freshman to ever do it.
Right.
Megan, have you filled out your women's bracket yet?
I'm gonna have 3, and so I normally do 2. I do an integrity bracket and I do a chaos bracket. Just fun. And then this year, me and my Twitter girls, we added the Bay brackets. And so this started with Ohio State men beating the Houston men. And whoever number 10 is on Ohio State got some arms. So he's going in the Bay bracket.
What? Okay, Eric and I just vomited, Megan. Anything about Ohio State Knights does not happen in our world.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just shocked. I was like, well, not only did Ohio State or Iowa State win, and then I wasn't shocked that they beat Houston, but the way that they beat Houston, like they gave them a butt whooping.
I mean, they did.
And then they showed this picture of number 10 over there in Iowa State, and I was like, ooh, arms. And so
wait, is it Iowa State
bracket.
Or is it?
Yeah, Iowa State.
Iowa State. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I got to see who this dude is because I'm just
he's going in the Bay bracket. Now, unfortunately, Iowa State is in the same section as UConn, I believe, in the same region. I need to look. No, in the men's.
Oh, in the men's. Yeah.
In the men's, yeah.
Oh, the East is brutal.
Keyshawn Gilbert. Is that?
I don't know. He got some nice arms. That's all I know.
What number is he?
Number 10. He's a guard, junior, 6'4", 200. Iowa State men's basketball, number 10, Keyshawn Gilbert. Let me see if I can pull him up here for y'all. So
we watch it.
Okay.
Oh wow! I will say this in the women's while you're pulling it up, Eric. There will be a Pac-12 team in the championship game.
Really?
For sure.
Yes, there will.
For sure. No, for sure. And in fact, I have 2 Pac-12 teams in the Final Four. So in my integrity bracket, I have picked my Final Four already. I haven't gone through and picked through everything, but my Final Four, of course, we got South Carolina. And that's Albany 1 and Albany 2.
Is that him, Megan?
I was gonna hate. I was gonna hate me. I don't care. I'm taking UCLA. And then in Portland 3, I am taking USC as well. And then, of course, I'm taking my own Texas girls, even though I believe we will have to go through Stanford to get there.
I mean, and obviously not an alum of Stanford, as Eric lets everybody know, and of course I let everybody know. But with Tara Vonderveer, like getting the winning record, I mean, again, it's not always storybook. I would love to see them, either beat South Carolina or well, they'd have to play them in the Final Four because they're on the same side of the bracket. So it'd be a Final Four between Stanford and South Carolina. I mean, I would love for her to get another one because that'd be it'd be the second.
It'd be her 4th. Would it be her 4th?
It'd be her 5th, but it would be the second in 3 years because when
that's right.
Eric, I mean, you remember, I mean, now that our conference is ending, I can reminisce when it was an all Pac-12 championship game between Stanford and that team down south.
Right.
Yes, I know.
Painful for me. But they got there. I showed them.
And I love me some Haley Jones, and that was a fabulous championship. Yeah. I love Haley Jones. Yeah. I however think that if Texas can get past Stanford, I'll take them another step further.
Good. I tease you, but I kid. But they are good, and I haven't seen.
If they can get past Stanford, I think they're the best matchup for South Carolina. Honestly, now I don't think that we necessarily beat South Carolina, but that defense that Texas has had over the last 7 games they have really stepped up that defense. Yeah. Now, when they played Iowa State in the Big 12 championship, now. When you have to have, and this is a mindset that I think anybody that plays Iowa, you need to have the same mindset, or even USC, or when you have these individual players that are just amazing. When you're playing Notre Dame and you got Hannah Hidalgo, you know that she's going to go off. She averages 6 steals a game, Like,
and she lets you know about it too. She has no problem letting you know about it, Eric. That's one thing I love about Hidalgo. She loves
as she should.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's no different than Caitlin doing her thing or Angel Reese doing her thing.
About it. I'm just saying, like, and it's not that she's crazy loud about it, but from some of the like people that have been courtside that I've seen, like she'll definitely, like, you know, if we were defending her, she was defending us, she'll let you know. Like,
so Megan, really quick while I got you, because I'm looking at your bracket. Okay. So I'm looking at your bracket, and I'm saying to myself, this bracket truly does benefit both you, Texas, and I'll even go so far because you know my personal ties to Gonzaga, possibly. But for the sake of this conversation, so you're up against Drexel.
What do you mean it benefits us?
Well,
you say we have an easier road to the Final Four when we got to play Stanford, we got to play Utah. Like you said, the Zags, who are really good, Tennessee, who is really good, almost beat SC during their turn.
But Tennessee, I think Stanford's gonna, if it comes to that, which let's play devil's advocate here, because that would be the Elite 8. Okay, so Texas over Drexel. All right,
and NC State is there too.
Yeah, NC State is there, but if I'm looking at this bracket, and this is how I would break this bracket down. Now, roll with me here for a minute, okay? So I'm saying Texas over Drexel. I'm going to say Florida State over Alabama. I'll take Utah, South Dakota. I'll take Gonzaga over Irvine. Tennessee over Green Bay, which is more of an NFL match than anything. But that 14-3 match, Chattanooga versus NC State, I think that's a potential one that people might sleep on. Then
NC State is a very gritty team. They are very tough.
But okay, real talk though, and you would know this better than Mike or myself, definitely more than me. When have we really seen NC State like progress through March Madness?
They were a Final Four team 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Years ago. See, that's why I will defer to you on that.
I mean, and then also I think you go down to now. Obviously, it's. You got to go down to that 7-10 matchup as well.
Iowa State, Maryland, and that's where I was going next.
That's a tough matchup right there. Right. Now, what I was talking about that Texas did is you let a player like that, which they have Audie Crooks over there, and she's basically like Shaq at LSU. Like, her size and her presence in the lane is just unstoppable. And your game plan should not be to stop a player like that. Your game plan is to shut down everybody else. Now, she went off in the Big 12 championship for 26, 5 and 9. Yeah. So let her go off, because she's going to do it. I mean, she's just going to bully her way around. But nobody else had double digits on Iowa State in that game. That's how you beat them. That's how Iowa becomes beatable as well. It's that defense, how you play it. And Maryland has the potential to knock Iowa out in the first round if you make Caitlin shoot ISO ball. Because the games when she goes off and she's got 50 points, they don't win those ball games because they're ISO ball. So let Caitlin go off. Shut everybody else down. Let her get 60. You're not going to win the ball game like that.
Okay.
Right. And, but the crazy thing too about what you're saying about Caitlin, and I'm with you, like, but there is games that she hasn't, I mean, and there weren't that many of them this year, but there were a few where she had, maybe say like 5 to 10 points in the first half. 5 to 9. I mean, 10 isn't bad, but like single digits in the first half, wasn't, and it wasn't just chucking shots, but they were taking her out, but then she explodes in the second half. That's one thing I will say about Iowa that they've done is adjust.
Right. Well, my bad.
Well,
I meant
hold
to
on.
say
That
Iowa
7-10
State.
matchup is
They're
Iowa
playing
State.
Iowa State. Iowa State, Maryland. That's my bad. But they have the potential. Maryland has the potential to do that. The way they beat OSU in the Big Ten tournament, I definitely have them circled as like, this team is still gritty. They're still letting you know that, hey, we still got our coach Brenda over here. We're still tough. And then they knocked off the number 2 team in the nation in that tournament. Like, that was a big win for them.
And to
Okay,
Eric's
so
point, Eric,
roll with me on that. Hold on, Mike. Roll with me at that then. If Maryland winds up beating Iowa State, and then you got Maryland Stanford, then what you doing there?
Stanford.
You're still going Stanford.
I am.
Okay.
Because they're deep. They got Kiki, they got Cam, they got some good guards over there as well.
I'm not saying they do or don't, but you just said Maryland is that gritty team. Maryland's that team.
They are, but it's a good matchup. I'll say that. I feel like it's a very good matchup. I think Maryland plays them really hard, but they got to get past Iowa State first. At Iowa State, like I said, Audie Crooks is to be taken seriously. They may not have much else around her, but she's to be taken very serious.
Okay.
And Eric, all I was going to say is the best second round matchup is what in that part of the bracket is what you alluded to, because you'll have. I mean, look, I think Utah handles South Dakota State. I know South Dakota State's won. I think they won their conference tournament too, but still they're a 12 seed.
They did.
But Utah and Gonzaga. I mean, in that part of the bracket,
that's going to be a good game.
And Stanford wins, and Iowa State and or Maryland, whoever comes out of that. I mean, I looked at, but to me, like that Utah Gonzaga game, that's like the most exciting when I saw the brackets like of the second round. And again, I don't like to assume because it is a tournament, but those two teams with their matchups are deeper and a little bit more talented than who they're playing. So
what about the pettiness of Albany too? Have y'all looked at it? Break it down. Okay. First off, what looks like it's going to be in a next round matchup is going to be Louisville versus LSU. And they knew it the minute that they heard Louisville was announced. LSU knew it. Like Kim and HBL, they were cutting up. I feel like Louisville has a chip on their shoulder. HBL, you left us, and here we are. We're still here. We're still in the tournament. We've still been ranked all season long. They do look a little off without HBL, but I mean, I don't know that HBL looks good in LSU. I think she should have gone to Stanford, to be honest. But then also, you go over to Portland, who beat the Zags in their conference tournament. Go back, watch those highlights. Such an amazing game. Portland pulls off the upset, gets their bid, wins their championship. And I think now then they made them fly all the way to Albany instead of letting them be at home.
Right.
The committee is petty. Y'all made them go all the way to Albany. They could have had a home bid, basically.
Well, but being a 13 seed and playing Kansas, no, I'm 100% with you. I mean, yeah, there's things they could have worked out. I mean, even on the men's side, when they started that, I think it was 8-9 years ago, guys, where they like, even if you're playing, if you're in the East and you're, in the West or Southwest, like your first 2 round games might be like, a lot closer to you, but you're still in the East. Then you're traveling for, the Sweet 16, Elite 8, like you're going across country on that one. But yeah, no, I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, look, UCLA to me is a team too. Like everybody talked about. I mean, obviously Oregon State always has the players with the height in the Pac-12, but not. Right, it's not that they're.
Oh no, I'm a Kiki fan. I like Kiki. I watch UCLA. I got UCLA winning that region.
Right, but I'm just saying, like they're talked about and obviously respected with a number 2 seed, because I mean both them and USC were.
Wait, you got UCLA in your Final Four?
Sure do.
I mean,
this is not the same Iowa team as last year. Now, I've heard a lot of people buck back on me saying this, and because they say, "Oh, the ratings. They're not going to allow the ratings for Iowa not to make the Final Four." I think that this is not as good a team as they had last year. Let's not forget they had Monica Cesano. It was a huge part of that Iowa team last year. And they don't have her. Now they do got Gracie. They got a couple of pieces over there, but there's not quite the same toughness and not the same defense that helped get them to the national championship last year.
That'll be an insane matchup too, because if LSU gets past Louisville, which I
That's what I'm
think you're right,
saying.
Megan. I think it happened. USC or UCLA and LSU. That's gonna be an interesting matchup. I mean, I look forward to it. I mean, but I'm with you. I mean, haven't seen obviously UCLA, in person the last few years, but
I'm still kind of torn a little bit. All right, then Queen, let me ask you.
Well, and don't forget UNLV over there. Like,
No,
I know
got
that
it.
they're a good
Who's your
team
Final
too.
Four, Megan?
I got SC, UCLA, USC. So we're gonna have an all Cali teams that hate each other playing for their Final Four matchup. And then I got Texas and SC on the other side. And I do feel like Texas. I don't know that they win that matchup, but they play SC tough. I expect that defense to give it to them.
Mike, who's your Final Four for the women's?
My Final Four is, well, I only differ from Megan in this. I got Stanford and South Carolina on that side. But I do have Stanford playing Texas as much as I tease Megan. But I mean, look, they're both gonna be great matchups. I have Stanford and South Carolina, and then I have the same too. I mean, homer or not, I took UCLA and USC in the Final Four too, like Megan did. I mean, I
watch a lot of, and I don't balk when you sit there and say Pac-12 is the best women's basketball conference, because they are. Every single conference game that they have to play is do or die.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the one thing. Like if you were one of the 6 unranked teams, you couldn't go through a weekend series unless you were playing your rival. I mean, like the in-state rival if they weren't ranked, but you couldn't go through a weekend series, guys, without playing a national, like a top 15 team. That's what pretty much all of conference play, and at least like the second half of conference play was like. And I mean, there were some awesome games. They beat each other up. I mean, look, I even got to give credit to that school down south, because look, like Megan said, I mean, they only did have 7 players that day. Brink was also injured, but you look at it, and it's a team that they have to play. I mean, they're playing Auburn for that 11 seed to go into the Portland Regional 3. So they'll be playing whoever wins that plays Syracuse. So I mean, look, they lost one of their best players in the beginning of the season. I mean, she's pre-med, and Coach Barnes is like, of course we're honoring her scholarship and all that good stuff. But I mean, conference play. Look, like Megan's right. It's one of those things where, I mean, I started watching Texas once they got into Big 12 play, and Megan posted all her stuff. I'm like, all right, let me see this team that she's overhyped.
We run with 3 forwards. We're fast.
Overhyped. I got you on that. You were. No, they are good. And I think that, I mean, look, that's my Final Four. What everybody has said all since yesterday, would you take South Carolina or the field? It's hard not to take South Carolina. I mean, look, we know Iowa is the last team to beat them last year, but to pull a UConn and go undefeated, that would be huge. But I mean, I just think you get 3 Pac-12 teams in the Final Four and I mean, South Carolina could be the slayer of it all. I mean, that's the thing.
They could.
Now y'all got me more intrigued in these matchups.
These matchups, the way they have it set this year, I'm so lit. There's going to be a ton of really good matchups. Now, I want to just kind of, before we go, I want to run through a couple of ones that I kind of circled as possible upsets. So in the Albany 1 section, you got OU, the 5 versus the 12, Florida Gulf Coast University. We know Kirsten Bell went there. They had a Cinderella run to the Sweet 16 a couple of tournaments ago. Well, they don't lose ball games over there. Nothing has changed since Kirsten Bell has left. They don't lose many ball games over there. They're just a small school. And I expect them to come in and possibly be able to win that matchup. A&M versus Nebraska. I don't know that A&M pulls the upset off, but it is a really good game. I think they match up really well against each other. There was another one. Let's see. Ole Miss versus Marquette in that region. That's going to be so good too. That's going to be a really good game. And then there was an upset that I was looking at that I really think could happen.
You better not say Oregon State and Eastern Washington.
That one's crazy too. Maybe it was on the other side. Sorry, y'all. I've been looking at this. I've been doing bracketology all day. It was Corpus Christi A&M Corpus Christi. Now, that's a tough matchup, but don't count them out. I know they sound like a small school, but they beat Lamar, who are perennial. They are always in the tournament. They are a smaller conference. And then watch out for Fairfield too. They had Lou Lopez Seneschal there for 4 years. They won the MAC all the years that she was there, and they're back without her. She was at UConn last year, played with a torn ACL, carried them through the tournament with a torn ACL. So there's so much to watch, and we didn't even talk about UConn, y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we didn't even touch on Paige. I mean, sorry, Will. I know Will wanted us to talk about UConn, but sorry, Will. We just kind of ran out of time talking about this whole bracket thing. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here tonight on the Sports Arena. Huge thanks to our special guest, Dr. Jarrell Hessel, being in the building with us to start the show off tonight. Next Monday night, we will see how everybody's brackets are and where we are at with regard to that, both on the women and men's sides. More to the women, I feel. But again, huge thank you to everybody for being a part and rocking with us. We'll see y'all throughout the week, and then definitely back here next Monday night. So for the Queen of Hoop and my son, Devil Jerry, Mr. Mike Caratanudo, your man, Eric Wilson, everybody stay blessed. Peace.